Now we have all the sections of our website ready to go. What we need to do now is create buttons that will click and take you to where you want to go. One of these three different sections of the website. So where should we start? Well, let's start by actually stopping the animations where they should stop at frame 25, at frame 50, and at frame 70. In my case, it's 76, 75. Okay, so I'm going to place my playhead here at frame 25. And I'm going to go to my window menu, and I'm going to grab the code snippets window. And while we have this open, I'm going to grab it and just dock it over here. So I just, ripped it off, and I then put it in there where it was somewhere on the screen where it's convenient as a button to click on. I kind of like that. Okay, so code snippets control, among other things, the timeline, which is what we want to get into. So there's this one called stop at this frame. Well, that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to double click on that, and this show code thing comes up. I can click on that. It tells you what kind of code it's going to be. That looks good. So again, double click, and the ActionScript pops up. And wow, this window's like way too large. Kind of resize it over on my other monitor for a second. Okay, and I'm going to dock this ActionScript over here by the code snippets also. It has this sort of arrow look. So if I want to see all the ActionScript in my website, I can click on that and see it. You'll also notice that there's an actions layer that's been created. Now, a word of warning about the actions layer. Sometimes when things go awry, you want to delete some of the ActionScript. You're not quite sure where the problem is, so you just want to start over. Well, there are still keyframes that might appear on this layer, even though they don't have the little A over them like this one does for the ActionScript. It might just be a regular keyframe like that. Well, for some reason, that seems to still play havoc with the behavior of your code. So you always need to go to clear keyframe in addition to deleting the code. All right, well, that's neither here nor there since we haven't gotten there yet. Let's go on and put in another stop. Put my playhead at 50. Go over to my code snippets, double click there. Put my playhead at 76. Go to code snippets, double click there. Okay. Now if I do my preview with Command Enter, it plays up to that point and stops. It will not play any further until I hit return. And again, it plays and then it stops. And I hit return again, it plays and stops. Awesome. Okay, so this is basically what I want here. Now the buttons. Okay, so I'm going to unlock the buttons layer, and I'm going to select this first button. That's the home button. In the properties panel, I need to give this an instance name. I'm going to call it home. No surprise there. And I'm going to say that when I click on the home button, I want it to go to frame 1 and play. So I'm going to open up my code snippets. The third one in there is called click to go to frame and play. So I'm going to double click on that. Now I actually have to modify this action script. Now, if you've never worked with coding before, this might seem a little intimidating. To help you out, they have some instructions that goes along with the code snippet in gray. It's commented out so that it doesn't affect the code at all. But in this case, it says replace the number 5 in the code with the frame number you want it to go to. So I'm going to replace 5 with 1 in that case. So now if I do a preview, command enter, it exports, and where it stops there, if I click on this now on the home button, wow, it did not work at all. What did I not do there? Let me take a look at my code again. Okay. So I see what I did. I had my playhead over here at 75, where I already had some ActionScript. All right, I need to delete that. Because you need to have your playhead at the point where your keyframe exists for your button. Okay, so now I select the home button. I click on the code snippets, double click on click to go and play frame, change that to 1. Now I export it with the command return, and now it works. Okay, see, I made that mistake just to show you what not to do. Okay. Now, remember these buttons here. You can see them disappear there. These buttons here are at keyframe 1. So we keep the playhead there even when we click on the About button, and we grab our code snippet. I want About to go to frame 26. Okay. I need to set an instance name. I forgot to do that. This is About. So it prompts me to do that if I forget. Good thing. Hey, I'm making this video kind of late at night, so there you go. This time I'm not going to forget. I'm going to name work in advance in the properties panel. Work. Okay. Have that button selected, and it needs to start on frame 51. Now command return, and I can click at any time to go to the About section, the Home section, the Work section. They're all linked up and ready to go now. So this is essentially at this point a functioning website where you can have navigation that works correctly. Let's get a little bit better looking button before we end here. I'm going to double click on that star button because I did want to show you this. There are 4 states of a button: up, over, down, hit. I'm just going to work with over. I'm going to say insert a keyframe on over. Okay, and essentially it copies this shape onto the next frame, which is over. And I'm just going to make it a different color. Okay. There we go. So now when I go back to the scene and do a preview, I have a little bit more interactivity where if I mouse over these buttons, they really change, and it makes me feel like, oh, if I click on something, it's really gonna take me someplace. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed making your basic website here. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email.